Hello, and welcome back to the Nourish with Purpose podcast. It's Bailey, and I hope you're having a great Wednesday or whenever you're listening to today's episode. If you're new here, I'm Bailey. I'm a holistic health and nutrition focused coach who really works with women to both decrease inflammation and heal their relationship with food, never ignoring how important that mindset is when we're talking about food in a whole. So that's mostly what I do, but outside of that, I also have a garden. We have 150 chickens and 3 ducks. I'm growing cut flowers this year and really just trying to appreciate these warmer months. So welcome again if you are new. If you are not new and you've been around for a while, I would just encourage you to either leave a rating or review on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. This helps the podcast so much. I'm actually reaching a year here in the next month on having this podcast, which is crazy. I haven't missed a Wednesday, which I'm pretty proud of. So again, if you are, really enjoying the podcast, send it to a friend, maybe post a rating or review. And if you write a review, make sure you send that my way so that way I can get you entered into the $100 giveaway that I'm drawing for on July 21st. So that's coming up this month already, which is insane. We are talking all about July intentions today. I'm going to read you my list of what I'm trying to be really intentional about this month, and also kind of just talking about why I think it's so valuable to enter each month with intentions. But before we do that, let's go ahead and catch up. So this last week really hasn't been too eventful. I've been trying to spend some more time outside just because it's been super nice weather, pretty rainy here. But I had my first dahlia flower open up, which is pretty amazing. They are the prettiest flowers, and it's really just fun to go out there and see new things that are blooming and watch the whole life cycle of a flower. I don't know, it's something that's very new for me this year, so that's been really fun. Outside of that, we did family photos this last Sunday with my friend Lyndon, and they went well, but nothing too crazy. I also set up at an event as Divine Purpose, which is my holistic health and nutrition coaching business name. And I set up there and got to just meet with other people in the Lincoln area that own businesses that are part of the Chamber of Lincoln, which is something I would highly recommend if you are part of a chamber group, or if you live close to a big city and you have your own business. I would highly recommend joining the Chamber. The Chamber really just connects you with a lot of people in the area. It's also the group So the Chamber has Rise, and then Rise has coaching groups, and so I'm a coach for Rise, and that's really fun because I get to meet with small groups of women and lead different coaching sessions. So I did mine this last summer and hope to do it maybe a couple times next year rather than just the one time this year. But it was fine. I really, really hate those types of events, if I'm being 100% transparent. I was so stressed out the whole week before it just because you never know honestly what to expect with that. I feel like you go into it thinking, that you'll have people to talk to the whole time, but you also don't want to look stupid by sitting there by yourself and not having anybody come up and talk to you. So it was really a force out of my comfort zone, and I was telling my mom and Nate, I'm like, why do I force myself to do things like this even though I have 100% of control over what I do? And I do it because I'm very passionate about what I do. I love what I do, and I think everybody needs it. Secondly, I really am trying to push myself to get uncomfortable this year, and I really started that last year actually, trying to connect with people in real life. I think there is nothing like an in-person connection. It's so much more valuable than social media. I'm honestly have the intention of not removing, that's pretty extreme, but almost eliminating my business and everything I do and myself off of social media here in the few months. I'm just really feel like I'm over it. I would love to be able to make more in-person connections and do more events where I get to do that rather than, social media. I've met really great people on there, and it's really nice to catch up and keep up with what friends are doing and all of those things. But I think we're going to notice a season of complete burnout and exhaustion if we're not already in it from social media. I feel like especially, I don't know, you see like creators or people that do a lot of posting, and I just feel like content is not inspiring anymore. And maybe that's just because that's where I feel like I'm at. But when I look, and this is no offense to anybody, but when I look at posts of people who are trying to create really good content, it feels very dry. Like there's no personality behind it. There's no intention behind it. And I've noticed myself get to more of that place. And I think you can obviously tell as a consumer when other people are creating that sort of content. And I've seen a ton of that recently, which has led me really to try. It's really hard because I would say at this point, most of us are addicted, but to try to remove myself as much as I can from that space, from trying to make things so curated and perfect. It's like exhausting. So really, I guess that's just a long way of saying that's why I force myself to do in-person things, even though I honestly hate them. There really is nothing about it that I enjoy outside of creating meaningful connections, which is the purpose of it, yes. But sometimes, like when I was set up at this event, I had 3 men, older men, say, oh, well, we should go get coffee and talk about whatever they were trying to sell me. And that is just really, really weird to me. So you just never know what to expect from those settings. I was like, did I leave with much from this? I'm like, yes, I did. There were a handful of people I met where I'm like, those are great connections to have. Outside of that, I told Nate, I'm like, well, I guess I've got 3 old men that want to take me out to coffee. So, whatever. It's just kind of weird. I don't know. That's just kind of weird to me. I think as a female business owner, it just feels kind of weird. And maybe that's because it really just is weird. Maybe they had the best intentions. They were kind people. Just out of that's something I'm not gonna force myself to do. So that was on Thursday, and then I'm trying to think of what I did this weekend. Really not too much. I have a full weekend off coming up, and so Nate and I are going to go antiquing. Hopefully he comes with me, thrifting, and go on like a coffee or lunch date on Saturday, which is going to be really nice. The 4th of July obviously is on Thursday, so I think we're going to a party for that on the 4th, and then on Friday we celebrate my grandma's birthday. On Saturday we have family photos, but the morning Nate and I are going out. And then on Sunday, I know we have something. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, and I'm sure you don't really care, but just looking forward to this weekend. Usually, if you don't know, I work at a coffee shop on Friday and Saturday, really just for fun. It's a great way to see people. Even though I connect with people throughout the day through coaching calls, it's nice to just work with other people and have adult conversation, and I don't know, just not have to always be in the coach position. It's really nice just to have like good connections and good conversations with people. So that is something I do every Friday and Saturday for the most part. Usually take off like 1 weekend a month, but this month I will have 2 weekends off. So I'm like, we have to do something to fill that time on Saturday. Nate and I, because I work in the mornings on Saturday, we don't usually get a lot of time to do that or to go to farmers markets or do that sort of thing. So hopefully we can do that and really just enjoy that quality time together. Okay, so moving into how I'm nourishing my mind, body, and spirit, which is really the weekly segment I do, just because I think, with this podcast being called Nourish with Purpose, we're not just thinking about nourishing our body with food, but we're also looking at nourishing our spirit and nourishing our mind. So how I'm nourishing my mind is I am trying to spend 1 hour of learning every day of the month of July, it's a lot, and that's a lot to commit to. More so thinking about weeks, like during the week, spending an hour learning. But I found that in the moments or the seasons of my life where I look back or reflect on, where I feel like the least inspired, the least motivated, the least stable, honestly, it's those times when I'm not learning. So I did a home apothecary course This would have been probably 2 or 3 months ago, and I really enjoyed that. That was about like a 2-month course, and now I am starting a functional blood work or functional lab course that I'm doing. That's very new. That's like a 6 to 12 week course, kind of depending on how quickly I catch on to what I'm learning and understanding everything, so I can then add that into my practice. And I've just really been loving adding that in each day. It's a lot, but it's really good. I'm also still working through the book Real Food for Fertility and the other book Real Food for Pregnancy. They're just really, really dense. And so something that on the days when I'm not doing my functional labs course, I'm going to try to add in then an hour of reading. Okay, so then how I'm nourishing my spirit is adding journaling into my Bible study and devotional time. I really haven't done that for a while, but I noticed that I would go through my daily devotional or read the certain passage of the Bible, and then it was like, okay, got what I needed. Not necessarily got what I needed, but like, okay, I feel like I'm in a good headspace. I feel really good about the day ahead. I feel calm and collected, and then I wrap it up. So now I've been journaling over the key points that I get from the devotional, and I actually want to read a couple things to you on today's call, just because they really hit close to home for me, and maybe they will for you too. So this devotional reading is from the devotional called Embraced by Lisa Turkhurst. And it's 100 devotions to know God is holding you close. And it's really interesting because I was also talking to my mom today when we went to go pick up our raw milk about how women don't talk enough about the success that they're having. Maybe they do to like their moms or their, close friends, but most of the time we're not sharing openly what we did. And this really came from a client that I am working with who did something this last weekend that was incredible. I'm not going to share because it's obviously confidential, in a sense, information, but I was just thinking, like, she's doing these things, and we were on a coaching call and she didn't even tell me about it. I saw, I think maybe her daughter posted something, but she hadn't said anything. And so it's just like, yeah, women really, we don't promote ourselves enough, and we don't really lift each other up enough. I think there's a lot of competition amongst us. I even notice it in the space that I'm in. You can find some people who are really wanting to collaborate, wanting to create mastermind groups, and wanting to just like bounce ideas off of each other. But there's also people who don't really want to openly share what they're doing, because yes, there does have to be something to set you apart. So I can 100% understand why we don't just share everything that we're doing maybe all the time, but the successes that we have or the really cool things that we're doing, I feel like we should be sharing without fear that people are going to think you're talking too highly of yourself, because in most cases, I could almost guarantee you're not. Okay, so this one is titled, Her Successes Don't Threaten Mine, and I'm going to read the whole thing because I think it's really, really valuable, and I think, it's just something, like I said, that I needed to hear. So this verse comes from Luke 10:2 from the NLT Bible. It says, "These were his instructions to them. The harvest is great, but the workers are few. So pray to the Lord who is in charge of the harvest. Ask him to send more workers into his fields." Have you ever wondered if there's any need for you in the dreams tucked in your heart, when there are already so many successful people out there in the world? I totally understand. Several years ago, I remember pouring out all the best words I had through a pixelated letter, turned pages, turned book, turned proposal. I tucked my heart and dreams into a purple Office Max binder and hoped for the best. That summer, I gave my proposal to several acquisitions editors. For months after sending out my proposal, I would dream about the day some publishing house would say yes. I can't tell you the number of afternoons I'd stand at my mailbox, holding my breath, praying there would be good news inside. When the rejection letters started coming, I tried to keep up the hope that surely there would be one positive answer. I just needed one publisher to say yes. Soon, I'd received a no answer from all but one. And when I got that final rejection, I felt so foolish for thinking I could actually write a book. My dream was nothing but a sham. I had no writing skills, and I must have heard God all wrong. At the same time, I had other writer friends who were getting different letters from publishers. Amazing letters, dream come true letters, letters that turned into book contracts. Contracts. In the better moments, I did the right thing and authentically celebrated with them. But then there were other moments, hard moments where I felt my friends' lives were rushing past me in a fury of met goals, new opportunities, and affirmations of their calling from God. It seemed the world was passing me by. And in those moments, I said on the outside, good for them. But on the inside, I just kept thinking, ouch, that means less and less opportunity for me. The raw essence of honest hurting rarely produces pretty thoughts. I wrestled and I processed, and I decided to get still, refusing to believe I'd been left out and left behind, and starving my scarcity thinking. And that was something I actually highlighted and wrote in my journal, is we are going to starve my scarcity thinking. Coming back to the devotional, it says, those times where being still are good and necessary when your thinking needs to be swept all into one pile. Then it's much easier to identify treasures to keep from the trash that should be tossed. Then I could see new and life-giving realities. Her success does not threaten yours nor mine. When she does well, we all do well. All tides rise when we see a sister making this world a better place with her gifts. When I finally started believing this, my stillness turned into readiness, and that was 21 published books ago. This is what Jesus reminds us. The harvest is great, but the workers are few. So pray to the Lord who is in charge of the harvest. Ask him to send more workers into his fields. And this is where we have a choice to make today. We can look out and see the unlimited, abundant opportunities God has placed before us to create, to write, to serve, to sing, to be, and become. Or we can stare at another person's opportunity and get entangled in the enemy's lie that everything is scarce. Scarce opportunities, scarce supply, scarce possibilities, and when we start seeing another person's creations as a threat to our own opportunities. There is an abundant need in the world for your contributions to the kingdom. Your thoughts and words are artistic expressions. Your exact brand is beautiful. Know it, believe it, and live it. And then when I turn the page, this was the devotional I read today, and I'm just going to read the verse, but it says, a heart at peace gives life to the body, and envy rots the bones. And I feel like those two just really went well together. The devotional today was talking about wanting what other people have and recognizing that with all the good that we see in somebody's life, there's also bad that comes with it. And oftentimes if we saw the quote bad side of things, or if somebody else's life, we wouldn't actually want to trade positions with them. So that book is just, there's some devotionals in there that I kind of like breeze through, but then some really hit close to home. And I would highly recommend this devotional if you're just looking for direction on where you can kind of like channel that time with God. I think a devotional is a great resource to have initially to get into it. And then from there, most of the time I'll go to the verse that they've had listed in here and I'll read the full story just because I like to have a big picture of what's going on. So that is how I'm nourishing my spirit. Again, I just really wanted to share that with you. I thought it was super powerful and wanted to take the time to do that today. So then how I'm nourishing my body. I know last week we talked all about those summer meals. So I actually did make those spring rolls that I talked about last week. Super easy. I actually put mine in the air fryer so they crisp up a little bit. I did that peanut Thai dressing and they were delicious. So I would say that would be a win for me, is I tried out a new recipe that I hadn't done yet this summer. All right, so then moving into the bulk of today's episode, I wanted to talk about July intentions, but first I wanted to talk about why intentions are super, super important and how you can also start creating your own. Okay, so when it comes to a new month, I really think about the themes that I want my month to encompass based on what's happening around me. So for example, one of my intentions this month is to have weekly fresh flower bouquets in my house. Well, the reason that is an intention is because I'm growing cut flowers and it's really easy for me. I shouldn't say easy, but honestly, pretty easy for me to create a bouquet and have it in my house every week this summer, just based off of what's blooming on my yard, right? So that is something based off of what's happening around me. I wanted it to be an intention. Outside of that, I also then created a Pinterest board that kind of encompasses what I really want themes to be. So things that caught my eye. So, I have really pretty photos of herbal tinctures that I haven't done for a while, and I want to put what I learned the last few months into practice. There's some beautiful photos of canned vegetables and really adorable, like summery, fun outfits and birthday picnics. And so I just really curated this Pinterest board to look how I wanted July to feel. And I think we have to think about how we want it to feel. And that's where, for me, some of my more disciplined intentions came in, because I know if I want to feel kind of that happy, lightheartedness, creative, and inspired version of myself, I have to really be disciplined in other areas, because we can't just fly by the seat of our pants. And I guess some of us can, but for me, I know I can't do everything and feel overwhelmed and stressed and have July look like how I would like it to look. That doesn't mean it won't change, and that maybe my intentions for the month will change, or what actually pans out will change. But for me, I really am just I'm in a place this month where I want to come inward almost. I know people have always said that, and it sounds kind of corny, okay, what do you really mean by that? But spend time with myself, spend time not gaining inspiration from outside sources, spend time in real life with real people, or on a Zoom call with people that I've connected with that don't live near me. Spend time enjoying the weather outside and really just be more private about my life. And I think, I don't really maybe know where that's coming from, other than I've been doing the opposite of that. Kind of feels like for so long, that I want to be very intentional about having this be a month where I'm not promoting anything, I'm not selling anything, I'm not sharing about what I do as a coach. Outside of the podcast, obviously that's just a part of my life, and it just is, so I'm going to talk about it. But I'm just I'm over that piece, right? I'm over having to always be on. And so coming back to just sitting in silence, or looking out the window and just sitting there and seeing the bugs and the butterflies and our chickens outside. It's very, very simple, and it's very, very boring, maybe sounding to some people, but I want more of that. And I really want life to feel like that. And I don't want life to feel like I'm spending so much time sitting on a device that's really not doing anything for me, that is, other than being a means of communication to other people, it's not really benefiting my life, And I think so often, I think in the past I told myself well, it's how I enjoy spending my time. I enjoy spending my time on TikTok or Instagram, or I enjoy spending my time laying on the couch, and this is how I relax. But it's so selfish, honestly. And when you're with other people and you're on your phone, it's embarrassing. And that might be brutal, but it's kind of embarrassing, because you are showing that person that you would much rather be on your phone than talking to them. And even if you don't mean it like that, that's kind of the vibe that you're giving. And I know I've done that in the past. I'm not saying I'm immune to doing that, but it's just thinking twice about it. You spend time with people in your life that are there for, time is fleeting in a sense. Not saying that everybody around you is just going to disappear one day, but at the same time, if you spend so much time looking at your phone, being on social media, spending time on your email, your work email when it's late at night, that's not helpful for your own mental health, and it's not really supporting the relationships around you. And I say that so brutally honest, because that's kind of what I need to hear probably in this moment more than any of you. But I'm trying to think twice about when I look at stuff. So I guess I should probably also get into what my intentions are. But when you think about creating your intentions, now would be a great time, because it's just the 3rd of the month. You still have so much time to really think about this month, to, take this week, think about what you want your month to reflect. Create a Pinterest board, maybe, if you're very visual. I definitely am, so I wanted to visually see what I want to feel. But I always say, I shouldn't say I always say, this is what I guess I was saying to myself. Think of a goal that you can have that would support your body. It would support your mind. It would cause you to relax. It would encourage you to learn. And it would encourage you to socialize. Okay, so supporting your body, supporting your mind, relieving stress, spending time with other people, and spending time learning. Those are kind of those 5 foundations that I think helped me create this. Okay, so when I think about my first intention for July is to walk for 1 hour a day. And this is because I have a job that's pretty stationary, right? Sitting at a desk or at a computer. So I know that sometime in the afternoon, in the morning is when I work out, sometime in the afternoon or evening, I want to be intentional about going for a walk. All right, then my second one is less than 1 hour of scroll time per day. And this is really going back to, if I want to be able to do all of these intentions for the month, I can't spend time wasted on a phone. I really just can't. Like, there's too many other things that I could be doing, or I would honestly rather be doing that I'm not, that I need to be taking advantage of. So less than 1 hour of scroll time. This is my second day doing that, and it's really hard because I know, like, even if I just get on my phone to look at a DM that I got from somebody, and all of my notifications are silenced, I will say most of the time my phone is on do not disturb, and most of the time I also don't call people back, which I know is not the most positive, but I'm definitely somebody that if it can be said in a text, it should. That's just because I get really stressed out about thinking when I can fit in a phone call back to somebody. And I know that might sound really selfish, but again, when you are spending so much of your time honestly mapped out, most of my days are pretty mapped out with exactly what I need to do that day, which is super helpful. But it also means that, like, it might look like my whole day, maybe I don't have a coaching call, but there's about 6 other tasks that need to be done that day. It's so hard for me to find like a window of time when I don't know how long that conversation is going to be. So my phone is on do not disturb. I usually will not answer a phone call, and I'm really not good about calling people back. It's not truly, maybe it is because of selfish reasons, but truly it's just because I get a little stressed thinking about when I'm going to fit that into my day, even though, and then I think I feel guilt for not doing it immediately, right? Anyway, all of that to say, phone is on do not disturb, notifications are silenced for every single app other than text messages and phone calls, but those won't go through if my phone's on do not disturb, or at least they won't notify me if it's on do not disturb. So that has been a huge game changer, because I notice, like, even the last couple days I've been losing my phone. I'm like, where is my phone? I don't know where I put it. Well, it's because I'm really not on my phone until after I either after I work out, after I have breakfast, after I do my devotional, not after that, after all of those things together, then I'm on my phone. So I notice in the morning, I kind of like lose my phone, don't know where it is. It's because I'm just not on it until about 9 a.m. and just trying to set some boundaries there. Okay, then I talked about before the 1 hour of learning per day. Again, I know these are kind of like the rule of hours. It kind of sounds like those first 3. I think it's just easier to know that if I do those first 2, that's 2 hours of my day that I have to factor in. If I truly want to then have time to spend with family, spend with friends, work, get on coaching calls, lead exercise classes, that leaves very limited time for me to just mindlessly scroll. So I think I kind of like having those 2 hours blocked out. From there, I want to do a birthday picnic with friends or family. This is something I haven't planned yet. I'm actually going to be in Nashville over my birthday, so I'm not sure when that will squeeze in. It might just be me and Nate, but I would really like to get people together and do a birthday picnic like I did last summer. I actually did just like a small birthday party, and it was a really fun time. It was just a bunch of people I don't get to see all the time, especially not all in one place. So I really enjoyed that. And I also kind of in connection with that got the idea when I was on Pinterest. I would always kind of go back to that. And there was just a really cute like tablescape, very, very simple, like a cotton tablecloth, really fun thrifted plates, colorful glassware, candles, and it just really made me excited that even if it's not like a full-blown meal, which I really do love to make full meals for people, but even if it's just like a morning like coffee and cake or something like that, like a breakfast spread, I think it would be really a fun thing to do. All right, the next one is to finish 2 books. So if you think about it, this is a confession, but I've also had a book that I've been reading for the last like probably month, if not more. That's embarrassing. So that shows I'm not really being intentional with the time that I'm spending reading. And so in the evenings, we have started the TV series How I Met Your Mother, and I really love it. Like it just like is so lighthearted. It's not deep, it's not dark, it's just a good series. And so we've been starting that, but now it's like, okay, being intentional with ending that 30 minutes before I know I want to be asleep, so then I can read for 30 minutes before I go to bed. And if you're listening to this and you're like, that is way too much of a schedule for me, I totally understand. I know I'm very scheduled. I like to think of things in lengths of time. Even like today, I'm making a fruit pizza and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that from 2 to 3. From 3 to 4, I'm going to record and upload the podcast. And then from 4 to 5, I'm going to do my walk. And then I have a coaching call at 5:30. And then we have supper at 6:30 with some friends. So it's just like, that's how my day is laid out. For some people, that would totally stress them out. I think my family maybe thinks I'm doing way too much all the time. And it's maybe not because I'm really doing all that much. I just view my day in hours. And so when I think of a full hour to do each task, it just seems to go a lot better for me. Okay, so finishing those 2 books. Next one is 30 minutes of daily devotional time. If you've been listening to the podcast since the way beginning, you would already know that is something I've really do almost every single day. And that is because it's usually always how I'm nourishing my spirit is my devotional and Bible time. And just something that I'm really glad has become a habit, because there's so much life change that happens when I actually prioritize spending time with God rather than just having it be something I kind of like skim over and think, well, I'm praying before meals. Like to me, that's not enough anymore. Like I need to, because I know everything else in my life is going to go much smoother. I'm going to have a much better outlook on life if I do prioritize that time and be very, very intentional with it. Okay, next one is to start a crafty and creative project. With this one, I already know what I want to do because, I don't know, I just got this idea. And it includes some sort of jewelry creation. I'm not really going to explain it because I want it to just be something really special and sacred that I get to do by myself and have creative vision over. And not that it's that deep, but I feel like I share a lot of everything else, that I just want to have something for myself where there's no feelings of pressure for me to monetize it or share it or promote it or anything. Like I really just want to get into that creative space. And I have the supplies to do it. I've really just been neglecting it because, I don't know, I guess when it's nice outside, I just spend a lot of time outside. But even just utilizing that time outside by sitting and doing a craft or something creative, I feel so much better when I do that because I am very creative at heart, which is why I love social media in a sense. It's like that love-hate. I love creating videos. I love creating recipes. I love working on my recipe guide. I love, doing all of those things. Like I really, really love it, but I don't do enough of it. And so that's something that I know I want to, again, because I'm really going to try to remove myself from a lot of the online space. So I'm hoping that then that time can be meant to spend time by myself, just doing something creative. Next one is to make new herbal tinctures. I took, like I said, that home apothecary course, which talked about creating tinctures, creating different salves and herbal blends to support your body. So I want to make tinctures because I'm not really a tea drinker. There's one brand, the Tisane tea, that I will drink, but outside of that, I'm just not a tea person. So having a tincture is nice because it's a concentrated version of that tea. You soak the tea leaves in you could use glycerin, you can use cane sugar, you can use vodka. I don't personally love the cane sugar approach, but I will do a high quality vodka and soak those herbs in there for about 4 to 6 weeks. And then you strain it out and then you have this tincture. So I've been adding one to both Nate and I's coffees. Both, like for me, it's like hormonal support, increasing blood flow, brain fog, like reducing brain fog, increasing metabolism. And then Nate's blend is very similar, just more like catered towards men. There's a couple different herbs in there like ginkgo biloba, I believe. And I'm trying to think. I don't know, probably doesn't mean too much to you and it doesn't really matter. But making more of those because I do really enjoy it. And part of my hope is that I can make my office a very creative and inspiring place to be in. It's going to require a few different tweaks and buying some furniture, but I would love to have like my own home apothecary. So have kind of like a buffet, if you've ever seen like an antique buffet, and have shelving, like open shelving and just different spaces out of the direct sunlight that I can store herbs and kind of get into that. I don't know. I think it's so fun. It again is kind of a creative outlet. It's really just cool to understand that so much of the medications that we're taking really could be supplemented with herbs. A lot of medications have been mimicked after herbs, and it truly just blows my mind when I actually think about it. I think the hard part is you have to really take a lot of either like herbal capsules or supplemental capsules of herbs to mimic the same effects as a medication because it's so concentrated. Like you can take one pill and you're good for the day. Whereas like with herbs, you might have to take 3 capsules 2 to 3 times a day, right? Or drink a tea 3 times a day. And so I know that requires more effort, but I think it's really fun just to know what's going on. And this is me geeking out, so it might not be all that interesting to you, but there is a medication called gabapentin, and what it really is supposed to do is help like calm your body, reduce anxiety, and reduce depression. That is kind of the purpose of gabapentin. I know some people that have taken it in the past and they did it more as like a muscle relaxer, but they also noticed that they were way less stressed, way less high strung. So something that was really intended to help with like nerve pain and relieve nerve pain. So you might notice this if you would have that sort of injury again, or if you would have like anxiety or depression, it can help by just reducing the activity in your brain. So lemon balm, which is an herb, right? Lemon balm is an herb. You can buy it in a tea form, in a capsule form. So this can reduce the excitatory transmission in the brain. And how it does this is it inhibits the enzyme called GABA-T that then works to break down GABA. So that's going to then increase the amount of GABA that's available to your brain. So again, reduces then that brain activity, can help with anxiety and depression. I just think it's so wild how, I don't know, when you make those connections and you're like, oh, wow, like I could curate a tincture at home to do something very, very similar to this pharmaceutical drug, but it's 100% natural. And as long as you have the correct dosage and you're doing it responsibly, it's going to most likely be a safer, more holistic alternative. So that is something, again, a whole world that I just would really love to dive more into and just create a space to be able to do that. And then my last intention then was to have those weekly weekly fresh flowers. And it's just fun to be able to walk around our farm and find different things that are blooming. Like even yesterday, I had this really pretty light and airy flower that was growing in my wildflower mix that I spread out this year. And then my thyme was also going to seed. So there were little, really tiny white flowers in my thyme. And so that's an herb, but I actually cut it kind of at the base of the stem because I have way too much of it growing, and I put that in that flower arrangement, and so my house smells really kind of savory, really nice. And it was just really fun to experiment with just different things, maybe things that aren't technically like a flower, a cut flower, and still using that in arrangements. So I just know I'm going to have a ton of fun with that this summer. All right, so that is the wrap up of my intentions for this month. I really feel like July is going to be such an incredible month. I am really focusing on, like I said, learning, spending time with people in real life, spending time relaxing and enjoying the time that I'm not working rather than stressing that I'm not working, and hopefully just being very intentional with where I'm dedicating my time this month. And that also looks like removing some things from my calendar, saying no to things, which is hard for me to do, but it also kind of feels really good to just say no or maybe cancel a plan sometimes. So that is just something I'm really looking forward to this month. So I'm wishing you the best as you create your intentions. I would love it if you shared them with me just after you've listened to today's episode, sending me a message saying, hey, like based off of what you said, these are my intentions for the month. I think it's so fun to see what we're all focusing on because we're all at different stages of life, all doing very different things. And it's really just fun to see how maybe areas where our intentions overlap, even though we're in completely different stages of life, or how different yours might be from mine. So please don't hesitate to share those with me over on Instagram or email. Hopefully I'm not very quick to respond. It means I'm not on social media as chronically as I have been, but connect with me, send them my way. I would love to see them. So with that, let's go ahead and close today's episode in prayer. So dear Lord, just thank you for this new month and the new energy and the new excitement around July. Just ask that you be with whoever's listening to today's episode, that they leave feeling so inspired to create their own intentions and that you're just included in them, that you are always at the center of what they're doing, and that they just are able to create intentions that allow them to have free time and time to relax and time to prioritize their body, their health, their mind, and you. Lord, I just thank you for the opportunity to talk and the opportunity to connect with others, and just ask that you continue to bless the podcast and bless whoever's listening. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, so if you're interested in following along with my life outside of the podcast, you can find me at Bailey Seaton on Instagram, Bailey Seaton on Facebook, or actually, hold on, Instagram is Nourish with Bailey. I did change that like months ago, but totally blanked that. Nourish with Bailey is really how you're going to find me on most things. But of course, if you want to connect with me, my email will also be in the description of today's episode. So we can just talk, and you could set up an appointment if you'd like, and we can talk about what's going on. Otherwise, if you just want to share intentions with me or get entered into the giveaway, social media or direct text is going to be the best way to find me and get a response. So with that, thank you so much for listening to today's episode, and I will talk to you again next Wednesday. Bye.